recognizing what we've discussed of how difficult writing can be for all students, but especially those who struggle with speech and language, fine motor, memory, and attention, I now want to share many interventions to use with your students. So, think about the fact that for many students with disabilities, focuses on the mechanics of writing, and a lot of focus becomes on the form and how letters are written. But what we really want to focus on is what is the purpose of writing? What do we want our students to do? And that's share ideas and thoughts and information. So the form is how the writing's created, but the function, the purpose of writing is to share that information. So let's ensure, especially for our students with more significant disabilities, that we don't stop with writing as tracing. I often go into classrooms and we'll see a strategy that admittedly I used in my own classroom when I taught self-contained, where perhaps a paraprofessional has written in yellow highlighter for a student and a student with a more significant disability is tracing over that. Well, great, that can be done for a few minutes a day or under the supervision of someone who's really working on the graphomotor skill. But that's not to say that we need to stop there with tracing letters, because students with disabilities and with significant disabilities all have a lot more to share through the art of writing. So we wanted to support the development of writing function by showing purpose in more engaging ways. A few things that I love to do with my students are to get them motivated by bringing in old calendars. You can go to your local dollar store very often and get some funny ones. I had a calendar I used for many years, Ferrets Gone Fishing. Well, you better believe that my students came up with some great captions for all the months of that calendar as the ferrets rode in their boats. Or some of those strange email forwards that you get with dogs in Halloween costumes or what have you. Use engaging pictures to motivate your students. And when they write about them, it doesn't have to be an essay at first, but let's meet a student where they are. And if a word is their way to describe their reaction to the picture, what a great place to start. And certainly then you can tailor it for each of your students' individual levels, whether they're writing a letter, a word, a phrase, a sentence, or a full caption or story. I also like to use video as inspiration. Now, granted, not all schools allow access to YouTube, but there's plenty of ways where we can pull up funny videos or videos that make you generate lots of questions or show and teach something unique, which motivates students greatly to then write and reflect. And so we don't always have to present students with a blank piece of paper to start the writing process. I also love to encourage my students and remind them that they are poets. Well, that alone makes them feel very excited, but then they question, what do you mean? I don't know how. What's a poet? How do I write a poem? But the beauty of poetry is it can take so many forms. And so whether that's single words to write a response to something in nature or something that inspired you, no matter how a student presents that writing, I celebrate it as a form of poetry. And so making that connection for students and celebrating them as poets, as authors, is a great way to build their confidence as you build their skill. So, just like we use in articulation therapy for those of you who are speech pathologists, think about developing writing from the sound level up. So, if a student is only able to produce a letter to represent a sound, let's start there. And then we can go through and build on that from the sound level to the word level to the phrase to the paragraph, and really meet each child where they are.